Hi makers! Today I'm going to do a video tutorial to show you how to crochet your very own Grayson blanket. That is this gorgeous textured blanket here. Alright, and the materials that you're going to need for this blanket are Yarnspiration's Bernet blanket yarn. And in this colorway is dark gray. That's what I used for this blanket. And then you're also going to need a 10mm end hook. We're first going to start off with the border, which is just double crochets, and then we'll go into the stitch pattern. So let's go ahead and get our yarn and hook and let's get started. And here's a list of stitches that we'll be using in this blanket. We're going to be using chain, double crochet, and single crochet. And to go ahead and get started, we're going to create a chain for how wide we want our blanket. I'm just going to be doing a swatch. So I'm just going to chain 19, but I'm going to go ahead and insert a little chart here to show you how many you should chain to create different size blankets. So I'll go ahead and insert that now, and you can write it down so you can know how many chains to make for the width of the blanket that you're trying to create. And if you didn't see the width size that you would like, you can always create your own and just keep chaining until you find the width that you like. Just make sure that that chain is divisible by 6 and then plus 1, and then once we reach the chain, the numbers of chains that we're supposed to have, we're going to go ahead and chain 2 on the end, and that is just going to create the height so we can do double crochets in our first chains here. So we're going to chain 2 on top of the chains that you already created. And then we're going in the third one, so those chain 2, and then we're going to go into the third one and create a double crochet. And then you're going to create a double crochet in each chain across until you reach the end. I'm creating a tiny little sample, so mine's probably a lot smaller than yours, but I'm just doing a little swatch sample just to show you how to do the stitches. So the first row is going to be a row of double crochets, and then we're actually going to do our second row of double crochets. So we're going to chain 2, and this chain will not count as a stitch. Those chain 2s are just there to create that height that we need to do double crochets. So since this isn't a stitch, we're going to work in that very first stitch with a double crochet, and you're just going to put double crochets in each stitch across for the second. And this is what it should be looking like for you, just 2 rows of double crochets. This is going to be our base, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right into the pattern. So for the pattern, you're going to chain 3, and this will count as a double crochet. And the pattern works in clusters, so even though this counts as a double crochet, we're still going to be working in this first stitch to create a cluster of 3 double crochets. So you're going to insert your hook, create a double crochet. So technically these are 2 double crochets. You're going to insert again to create a 3rd double crochet in that same stitch. And then you're going to skip 2 stitches and put a single crochet in that 3rd stitch. Then you're going to skip 2 stitches again and put 4 double crochets in this stitch here. So you're putting all 4 in that same stitch to create a cluster until you have 4 double crochets all in the same space. And you'll have a little bit of a gap here, and that's okay. And so we started out with 3 clusters in the very first, skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, cluster of 4. And then we're going to skip 2 and then another single crochet, skip 2, and then a cluster of 4. So 4 double crochets in the same stitch. All right, and then we're going to skip 2 stitches, put a single crochet in the next. Are you starting to see the pattern? And then we're going to skip 2, and then for me this is my last stitch, so you're going to just keep repeating that pattern. So you're going to do a 4 cluster, skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, 4 cluster, skip 2, single crochet. So you're just going to keep following that until you get to the end, and once you get to the end we'll go ahead and do the last stitch together. Alright, once you reach your last stitch like I am here, we're going to skip 2 and work in that very last stitch, and we're going to put a cluster of 3 double crochets just like we did at the very beginning. So a cluster of 3 is going to start and end your row. Alright, just like that. And that's the texture that you'll be getting. So you can see it already working up really nicely. And we'll go ahead and go on to row 2 of the pattern. Now let's move on to our next row. We're going to chain 1 and turn. And we have a cluster of 3. And to start our next row, we're actually going to single crochet in that first stitch. So put a single crochet there. And then we're going to work a 4 double crochet cluster in this single crochet stitch from the last row. So in this space right here, we're going to put 4 double crochets. Alright, and then in the middle, in between, so you're not going to be working in these spaces that you normally put your stitches in. You're going to work in between, so you're going to do in between that 4 clusters. So 2 stitches, you're going to put it right here. Right in between the stitches, you're going to create a single crochet. So you should have 2 double crochets on either side. And then we're going to move to the single crochet space from the last row right here and put our 4 double crochet cluster. And then again, in between the 4 double crochets, so 2 double crochet on each side, right in the middle, in between those stitches, a single crochet. Alright, and that's how it should be looking for you. And you're just going to repeat that all the way until you reach the end. And we've reached our last cluster here, our cluster of 3 ending our previous row. And in the top of the chain 3, so 1, 2, 3, at the top of that chain, we're going to place our last stitch, which will be a single crochet, and that will end your row. And for our next row, we are going to chain 3. That's counting as one of our 3 beginning clusters, and we're going to put a 3 double crochet cluster in that single crochet space from the previous row. So we'll put 3 double crochets in that first stitch, and again we're going to go in between that 4 cluster, so 2 double crochets on this side and 2 on this side, right in between, and we're going to create a single crochet. And then in the single crochet space, we're going to put our 4 double crochet cluster. Alright, and I think you guys got the pattern down now, right? So what's next? We're going to do a single crochet right in between our 4 double crochet clusters, just like that. And we're going to keep repeating that pattern over and over again. So now that you have a couple rows done, you can now get in the groove of where stitches go. And that is the texture it'll start creating for you. Alright, and we're at the end of the row, and we're at our last stitch. We're going to create a 3 double crochet cluster, because that's how we started the row and that's how we're going to end the row. Alright, and you're just going to do repeats of those last 2 rows until you create the length of the blanket that you'd like. So the next row you're going to chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch, and then, you know, there's your cluster, single crochet in between, cluster, single crochet in between. So that's how you're just going to keep repeating these last 2 rows that we did. Just keep repeating them on until you have reached the length of your blanket. And then we will do our finishing touches once you've reached the length that you'd like. And since I'm just doing a little swatch with you guys, I will show you the finishing touches that you can put on the last 2 rows of your blanket. So once you've reached your desired length, you're going to go ahead and chain 2. We're going to do 2 double crochet rows to end. So chain 2, not counting as a stitch, so we're going to go right in that first one, create a double crochet, and you're going to put a double crochet in each stitch, but I don't want you to miss any, so I'm going to show you, because the clusters create kind of like a wave pattern, so that's why we're going to do 2 rows of double crochet to kind of even it out. But you're just simply going to put a double crochet in each of these stitches so you can see them. So make sure to put 1 in each of your double crochets and 1 in your single crochet. So just put a double crochet in each stitch across, and once you're done with that, you're going to chain 2 and double crochet in each double crochet again to create that second row of double crochets, because that's how you're going to start and end your blanket, just to give it a more even edge. So that's all you got to do, is just 2 rows of double crochets and you are finished. Once you're all done, your blanket should look something like this with all this fun texture going on. And you can take a yarn needle and weave in any of those stray pieces that you might have, and then you are all ready to use it and squish it and just be super cozy with it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, guys. Thanks for watching.